This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the bottom feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
And welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk to Terry Arko of HASA, and we're going to have just some fun here talking about some complaints he received when he had pool service and one of his horror accounts as well. And it's something that, of course, we all run into. Mysteries out there. We can't figure out why a pool is not looking the way it's supposed to. And just dealing with odd things out there in our pool service business. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support. From me, I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. You heard that Pentair got rid of their creepy crawly, right?
I didn't hear that, but
Yeah.
Not surprised, I guess.
Legend in the industry, the creepy crawly, you know?
Yeah, I remember creepy crawly creeping in back in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's a product that came from South Africa, I believe.
Australia, actually, yeah.
Australia,
So
okay.
it's kind of a weird thing because there's a creepy crawly in Australia. So the guy in Australia sold the rights to America, but he kept the rights in Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked, but they're big in Australia. In fact, It's funny, the Australian market, I was talking to him, they actually still go door to door in Australia, and they go knock on the door, and they're like, hey, I have this cleaner I want to test in your pool, and they actually go in the backyard and put it in there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, I guess, I don't know.
I told him here in the U.S., if you did that, you wouldn't have the product anymore.
No, that wouldn't work. It's certainly would not work now.
You mentioned that you had some funny customer service complaints when you were out there as a pool pro. I had one. I'll start with this one. I was at this pool and I show up on I think it was like a Wednesday, and you can't see the bottom of the pool. It's so cloudy, And the customer comes out and he's like, hey, my pool's, something's wrong with the pool. And so then I unpack it a little bit. I back up and say, well, what happened over the weekend? He goes, what a pool party. My son had his birthday. I could see evidence that there was a pool party there.
Right.
And I said, how many kids were in the pool? He's like 20 kids. And then I said this. I was kind of like in a snarky mood at that point. Probably shouldn't have said it. But I said, well, did any kids get out for a bathroom break? And he just was really quiet, and he kind of walked away because probably shouldn't have been that kind of snarky with the customer. But he was getting on my nerves a little bit. But yeah, that's, obviously the pool is cloudy for a reason.
Well, I ran a retail and service business almost 10 years in Southern California. So in that period of time, I ran through a lot of, there were a lot of interesting things. Two of the ones that stick out the most to me is, and I was managing our service department. And so there was this particular customer, and he calls up one day and he basically says, well, he starts off by saying, I'm not happy with my pool service. And he says, my pool looks like a ditch. Those were his words. He said, I'm paying for pool service and my pool looks like a ditch, And so he's complaining because it's just, his pool's always looking grungy, I guess. That might be another good word for it. So obviously we're talking to the pool the guy that's servicing the pool, he's our employee, and he's just says, first of all, older pool. It was an older pool, older system, those kinds of things. That's not necessarily an excuse if it's on service. You still should try and keep it, looking good. But he said, I'm just battling. I go there and the chlorine's always 0 and it looks hazy. He goes, he's right. It looks. And he goes, and I'm cleaning the filters. I'm doing everything, and he goes, I kind of get it to where I think it's going to look all right, but then I come back the next week and he says, I don't know, and so as it turns out, they had this guy was a doctor, well-to-do guy, and so they had this property, they had a small little like pool house, I guess you could say, near the pool. And as it turns out, he had his mother-in-law and father-in-law and a couple of other people were living in the pool house. Okay. And they were from another culture, a different culture. And so apparently what happened, I don't know if we went for a repair or it was the day that the service tech went at a different time. Or he was doing another call on the pool, but come walking up to the pool, and there's the mother-in-law, and she's got a huge basket of laundry, and she's hand washing her clothes in the swimming pool as the guy's there.
Mystery solved.
Yep. And we went back to the doctor, the owner, the guy who was calling and complaining. We said, look, we can't. If you're going to use the pool as a laundromat or for their clothes, we can't guarantee anything at that point, And I think we ended up just giving up the pool at that point. So that was an interesting one.
And the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description.
The other one I had was I used to get the most interesting phone calls. A lot of people calling but this was the most interesting one. I had a woman who called, an older woman, much older woman. It was pretty obvious. And so her initial call was because her pool was continually turning green. And so kind of assumption was she's calling because she wants us to come out and fix her pool because it's green. And so I'm trying to get information from her. And as I'm talking to her, she says, well, I know why my pool is turning green. I go, oh, okay, well, tell me, She says, well, our next door neighbors are into some kind of weird stuff or whatever. And they've put a curse on my pool to turn it green. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go to my neighbors and ask them to please stop putting a curse on my pool and turning it green. And I had to kind of very politely say, well, we really can't do that. And so as the conversation went on, she said that they were even causing the cheese and the butter, and her refrigerator was going moldy and turning green because these people had put this curse upon her pool. And anyway, we did not go to that pool, but that was probably one of the most interesting calls I ever got.
Yeah, that's funny. People are funny. I had a rare equipment in a garage. Like I had like a room in the garage, and they had the equipment room in there. Not very common in California to have that at all. But the owner, for some reason, decided to convert the garage to a bedroom for his parents. And so I get there one day and they're working on the garage. I don't know what they're doing. And after about 3 weeks, I figure out what they're doing. And they actually had put the bedroom in the garage. The pool equipment's still there in the garage area with the full bedroom. So I'm going in there to turn on the timer, clean the filter. And I was like, this is really awkward. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this account any longer with someone's bedroom right here and the equipment's there. It was just one of those things. And I told the owner, I have to stop service. And he's like, well, you have anyone to recommend to me? I was like, I don't think I could recommend this pool to even my worst enemy. It's so weird that they did that.
Well, I guess maybe wrap this up if we're going to or whatever, but this is kind of my famous story. When I was servicing pools and still servicing pools, and I had this one pool on my route that was way off the beaten path. It was kind of out in the country, and it was pretty much isolated. Like I drove quite a ways, no other houses around, and then all of a sudden here's this house and it all kinds of property, very old house. And it had sort of like what I would say maybe was like a barn slash garage, whatever. And so the pool equipment was at the far side of that. There was like a room off of that barn, and it was old and creaky and wooden. And I had to walk in this room, and it was loaded with spider webs and everything. And it just was, I mean, I got in that room as fast as I could. I got out of that room as fast as I could. It was dark. You couldn't see anything. It was very creepy. And so that was bad enough. And this actually happened. I think it was a day or two before Halloween, which was even a little more. And I go to this pool, and I always, when I go, I always kind of had this cringe, of doing the pool. And it always was loaded with leaves because there was tons of, obviously it was out, where there was just, so always tons of leaves, tons of things. The skimmer basket was always jam full. So that was one of the first things I'd have to do is get there. Sometimes we talk about flow, and there barely be any flow because the skimmer was so jammed up. And so I go there, I get down, and there's all this crud. I'm pulling all this, just tons of crud out of the basket reaching down and pulling it out of the skimmer. And I reach my hand in, I reach down, I'm going to kind of get some more stuff out. And my hand feels something very slimy. And the slimy thing is moving in my hand. So I pull my hand out very quickly. And right at the same time I do that, I look, and through the mouth of the skimmer, I see this huge toad. And he goes through the mouth of the skimmer and goes sliding down into the bottom of the pool. This thing was huge and brown and very and he's there at the bottom of the pool. So I'm like, oh man, and I'm thinking, well, I got to get him out, and so I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying to get this, and I can't catch him. That thing was fast. I'm trying to net him, and he's shooting. I could not catch him for the life of me. And this went on for, I don't know, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I'm like, and I'd wait, and then I'd try and get him again. And finally I'm like, no, I gave up. And I'm like, I can't get this guy out of the pool. But I had to put chlorine in the pool. So, okay, I put my chlorine in the pool and I left. And it's the next week. I come back to the pool, and there's that toad. He's belly up, and he's kind of bleached out. So then I got him out and removed him.
Sad ending.
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't keep that account for long.
Actually, no, I did not. It had nothing to do with the toad, I think, but I just think,
Yeah.
that was one I was glad to see go away.
Funny. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Terry. And
Yeah.
And tackling subjects that a lot of people don't talk about. Bob Lowry was really good about that. talked about something called, one of my favorite was called color bodies. I was like, what in the world is Bob
Right.
Lowry talking about? I have no idea what he's talking about, but I just let him talk away, and he did a whole podcast episode on color bodies.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that's fine. So, and I guess I'll end with this last thing. There is a tester. It's called the Pool Lab 2.0 from Germany, and they do
Yeah.
have a powder that tests free chlorine from 50 to 200 parts per million.
Yes. Yes.
But it's
I
not
know
a
of some of
common
those.
tester.
And even with the FASDPD, you can test to higher levels of chlorine, I believe.
It does work because I tested it with I had a small little bucket and I put trichlor tablet shards in there, and I
Yeah.
got that chlorine level to about 100 parts per million, and I used that powder, and it was reading like 110 parts per million, which is cool
Yeah.
that it can do that,
Sure. And I mean, you can do dilution tests as well, using distilled water and the pool water, and
Yeah.
you can do half dilutions. You could do 4-time dilutions. When we did phosphate removers and phosphate tests, we used to say you could do a 1 to 10 dilution
Mhm.
even, and that information's out there. So somebody could look up how to do a dilution test if they needed
Okay.
to also.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Terry, and for your time. And I know we're getting busy, and I'll probably see you at one of the pool shows for sure.
Yeah, hope so. It's always a pleasure, David.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this wraps up the recordings with Terry Arko of HASA. And if you're looking for the other parts, you can, of course, find those by subscribing to my YouTube channel Monday through Friday. I drop a new episode there. You can also go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, there's a podcast icon. Click on that, and there'll be a drop-down menu of over 1,700 podcasts there for you to listen to at your leisure. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.